us on Zoom if she's able to. She's up at the State House, and I'm sure it's a busy time of year up there for them, so she might be joining us, maybe not. Any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
I have none.
Everyone is okay with them? Approve our minutes from our January 17th Select Board meeting.
So make a motion to approve the January 17th Select Board meeting minutes.
Second.
Leaves the motion, Ariana's the second. Any changes, corrections, errors, omissions, anything on the January 17th Select Board meeting minutes?
I have none.
I have none.
All good? All those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? That was quite the meeting. There's quite a few pages here.
Yeah.
It took me a while just to read through it. I might find errors. Nice job, Susan. The next item would be our January 19th special Select Board meeting minutes.
So make a motion to approve the January 19th Special Select Board meeting minutes.
After you.
I wasn't there.
Oh, okay. And second.
Leaves the motion, and Peter. Anybody have anything on those changes, errors, omissions, anything?
I have none.
I have none.
All those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Next item on our agenda is citizens' comments. If there is someone here that would like to address the board regarding an issue that is not on the agenda, now would be the time to do so for citizens' comments.
Excuse me, Arnie, I just wanted to announce that Heather joined the meeting.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
We're a little delayed, Heather, so we just started.
Oh, good. Okay. Nice to be with you guys, even if from afar.
Steve has his hand up.
Go ahead, mister.
Oh, okay.
Ian Montgomery, unavoidably absent from the last meeting when so much was talked about and decided, it seems, about the short-term rentals. I just wanted to make a couple of comments, if I may. The first is that I think $600 is really an irritant for the non-unhosted people. I live next to an excellent neighbor who runs an unhosted Airbnb, and it's just one of many things that would make him even more mad at the town of Chester. And I just suggest that it's overkill. I thought $300 was just fine, and I would suggest you might leave it at that. And I realize all this is in process. There's always an assumption in these minutes that the numbers like 60 or 55 STRs refers to unhosted ones. I'd like to be sure that that was written into whatever ordinance you finally come up with, because I'd hate there to be a misunderstanding about that one, because it's really rather important. You mentioned second homeowners. I think that a lot needs to be done not to alienate second homeowners who find that this is not that they're making a business out of it, but they're helping defray the cost of running a second home in order to retire here. I'm one of those people. I bought the house about 3 or 4 years before I retired, and though we didn't rent it out, we were desperate for ways to cover 2 mortgages and this sort of thing. I think we need to help the second homeowners and not alienate them. That's a significant part of our economy. And lastly, we go back to limiting the number of houses or STRs unhosted. It looks like there was discussion between 55 and 60, and I think 60 is a wonderful number to begin at. Let's allow some people to come in and find a way to do this. And I'm thinking of my neighbors across the street who just in the process of buying the Waters house. I don't know if you know that house, but there were some major legal issues with the conveyancing, and it may close on Friday of this week.
Thanks,
Can someone out on Zoom please mute themselves? I think it's John Velt. Go ahead, Mr. Montgomery.
Sorry. There were some major problems on the conveyancing because someone had rather infamously put a lien on the house, and they had to wait until that lien could be voided, and it has, from what I understand. But what date would that moratorium begin on if this ordinance passes? Would it be backdated, or would it be from the date of the ordinance? That, I think, ought to be clear. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. We are going to be going over it one more time at our next meeting to try to finalize some of those issues that you did speak to, so it will be coming up one more time.
Thank you. It's just that I volunteer in South America, and last month occurred when I...
Excuse me, I can't hear whoever's speaking.
Hang in, sir.
Sorry. It's entirely personal, but I volunteer down in South America for 2, even 3 months a year, and it's a little tricky attending meetings, even on Zoom, from that distance. I have done it, but it's not easy, so I apologize for being a month late or 2 weeks late, but it's just one of those things that I sometimes cannot attend physically, though I wish I could.
Thank you.
We have Steve. And then
Hang in there, Steve. Go ahead, Barry.
Hi, Barry Pinsky. I'm on the planning board. We went through the Airbnb thing a bit, as you all know. One of the things that we talked about that I don't know has made it into the draft that you're working on now, because I haven't paid much attention to it, was the concept of an adventure stay. And I'm doing this from a selfish perspective. There's one bear house being built in town. We won a Airbnb prize to build a bear house, and then that kind of went awry to make a deal to make that happen. They're kind of struggling to get it done. But I still have a desire to do something like that I think would be culturally interesting and would be built for the purpose of a rental. So from that perspective, it wouldn't be like buying an existing house that a family would want to live in. It would be like building more housing, adding to the amount of housing, and having it be for adventure stay. So obviously you guys are busy, but it would be nice if we could have something like that in the language that would kind of encourage that, because it seems to me anyway that this is a supply and demand issue. So we need more housing, and if we could also get more adventure stay housing, more specifically for the Airbnb that would be built from the ground up, that might have some, not as incentives, but maybe not have restrictions or fees or something like that would make it more of a hurdle. It would take some investment and vision and then a lot of work to make something like that happen. So it's one of the things I would like to do after I get my place cleaned up and looking nice. Be a shining example of our community. Thanks.
Thank you, Barry.
Yep.
It's Steve online. Is that Steve Mancuso? Do you have your hand up?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Arnie. My question is fairly simple. I've been hearing about an infrastructure study in the town now for almost a year. And I'm curious, how's that coming? Is there going to be something published for the citizens of Chester to read? Thank you.
What specifically, Steve? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Infrastructure study that I asked the same question to the planning commission Monday, and they kind of deferred me away from them. It's not them. So I understand you're investigating water sewer. The power is probably relevant. Infrastructure is all inclusive, but it is, and everything that is going on in this town right now, anything you're talking about, development, whatever else, growth, is going to be predicated on the well-being or the status of our infrastructure. Now, I understand, and I've heard that there is entities in town that are investigating our infrastructure, and they're doing a study on our infrastructure. And I want to know, as a taxpayer, what the conclusion is going to be. Is there something going to be published?
Well, Steve, we just started, I think we just finished up, and Julie, you can help me out on this, with the mapping of all the sewer lines all over town. So we have a better understanding of what's going on there. I think Naomi from our engineering group is going to be presenting to the board in a month or so regarding our sewer plant and ideas for that for the future. The water lines, that was done a couple of years ago, I believe, for the water mains and sizes and the different things that involved with that and the capacities.
So we did, there were 3 studies done, Steve, relating to water wastewater. So one is the lead line inventory, that is just now completed. The second was the wastewater asset management plan. That has been in draft form and has just been accepted by the state. So Naomi will be presenting that to the board, I think one of the meetings in March. The second meeting in March when we have the full new board, whoever that may be. And then the third one is the inventory, or not the inventory, the study by Jeff Hoffer for the secondary well that the state required. And Jeff has issued a report. There was feedback back to him, so we are waiting on the final from him, and then that will be submitted to the state. And again, Naomi will be presenting that as well. As far as water wastewater infrastructure, those are the only 3 projects that are underway. That being said, stemming from the water wastewater asset, the wastewater asset management plan, an application has been filed to be on the priority list for the Depot Street Force Main. For that, and Depot Street Force Main, which will include the First Avenue Pump Station. That project, we are hoping will get funded and we could construct in '25. The other project is, the actual secondary well, the actual work to the secondary well. We're getting on the priority funding list again for that, hopefully to get funded in 2024 for some work in 2025. So for water, wastewater, that's what's happening. I'm not sure what else you would be referring to as far as studies on infrastructure.
Exactly what's going on right now, and thank you, Julie. So my point here, my query, all is orbiting when this is going to come to fruition, when the public is privy to these studies, when can we read up, when can we be educated and understand exactly where we are as a town concerning our infrastructure.
So they will become public when I have them and the board has seen them and they've been accepted by the state and can be made public. If you would like to see drafts, you're welcome to come see them. I don't publish drafts, especially when they have not yet been received by the state, because there's a lot that could change. So Naomi will be doing her presentation in March. But I'm happy to share a draft with you. I don't, like I said, I don't publish them, but I'm happy to share drafts. If you would like to review one, you can.
I appreciate that, and thank you for your time, Julie.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Steve. This whole process started years ago.
Oh, it takes forever. Water, wastewater stuff, if you want to get it funded, you have to go through the steps, and that's just the way it is. Now, if you have money and you want to pay for it on your own, go ahead, but it's a different thing, yeah.
Because I remember speaking of the issues regarding especially the sewer plant and the water plant because of all the growth that we anticipate or hope for in Chester, that all those facilities have to be able to handle it, so.
Yeah.
Anything else under citizens' comments? Anybody else? Next item is our old business. Julie, can you take us through our old business list?
I can. While we still have, while we still have Heather, one of the things that Heather has offered and wanted me to put before the board is if you would like to receive legislative updates from her at select board meetings, once a month, once every other month, whatever you might like. I personally think if she has the time, once a month would be great, while the legislature is in session. But she asked me to kind of pull the board to see if that is something that would be of interest to you.
Yes.
Yes.
There's your answer, Heather. Everybody would like it. Would you
Yes.
like it monthly?
Especially if it's related to municipal.
Absolutely.
Can you start now?
Oh God, give me a few minutes. Yeah, I just think, being on the select board, and this is one of my last meetings as select board member, and, I'm so appreciative of this experience, and now in this role, it's really a beneficial experience that I've had. But I don't know if there's a lot of communication with a lot of different reps in towns. So Julie and I have been talking, and because of our long-term relationship, it's really easy to send her an email, look at this or check this out. But I just think it might be really good for me to give you guys a report, have a little time together, to make sure that we're communicating both ways. Like, you guys have a wastewater project, it just happened, what's the funding, this and that. So that's just what I was thinking, that I think I could be more effective for our town if we had continued communication when I'm not on the board.
I agree with you, Heather, and I think it's a great idea, and the board is definitely for that. It would be interesting to see your perspective on any of the issues that would affect the municipality here.
Heather, would you
And-
like to plan the second meeting of each month? You want to plan like that, or?
Yeah, sure. I don't have my calendar or anything, but why don't you guys decide what you want, and then I'll just fit it in, because that's what we'll do.
Okay.
Thanks,
But
Heather.
I don't think I should be on the night of the financial review, because then it's really long and boring. Or maybe you want me on the night of the financial review, whatever.
Do you want to
Ariana?
plan the second?
Did you want to say something?
No, just only when Montpelier's in session. So it's the second meeting of the month, but if they're not in session, we don't have to do it, that's all, just
Right.
clarifying.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, to be perfectly honest, off session is not all that bad of an idea to be there quarterly or something, or maybe once, just to check in. And part of this is so that I'm staying in touch, but it's also that you're staying in touch with me. A lot is going on in the off session. So even if it's a 10, 15-minute update, I think that would be really good for both of us.
Got it.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay, I
you very
will
much.
add that to the agendas.
Okay, we'll work it out, Julie.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. I'm going back on mute and no camera.
Okay.
Okay, see ya.
The second thing is just informational. So the Green Mountain Rail, the Okemo Chamber is working with Green Mountain Rail to bring a holiday train to the region. There will be 2 weekends in December. This would start, Chester would be its base, so they would load in Chester. Typically, these trains are very, which is great. And I'm working with some of our nonprofit groups to think about doing some, it would be a great time to do some type of an event right here in the depot for those 2 weekends, whether it's some small fair or at least have food options, because it's going to overwhelm Smitty's, that's for sure. So just be more to come on that, but just to kind of let you know, this is something that's coming to the region for 2 weekends in December.
And I'm assuming this will happen in the future, but parking, to me, is going to be the big issue.
Yeah, so because it's a rail project, we will have all the parking over by Erskine's, which will be helpful, but that's not going to be all of it, yeah.
Right.
It's going to flood this area, so that is one of the things they're looking at. Can we park people like at Cobley, and there is some kind of a shuttle that brings them, a few different options
Yeah,
that I
okay.
believe they're working on, yeah. Update on Julie and Corey, that's probably why some people are here. The notice of violation for Julian Corey has been issued. My understanding from some correspondence today is that an appeal is coming. An appeal of that notice of violation is coming. Jim Carroll will be at your next meeting to talk to you about strategy and positions of the town. This is really all that can be said at this point because the appeal has not yet been filed. So we'll hold off on any other discussion, but he will be at your next meeting to discuss with you options for the town and how you guys want to move forward. And then I just, every now and then I give you guys kind of a grant update. So I think I've already told you, but we were awarded the municipal planning grant to do the study on the 139 acres that the town owns that houses the water tank and the gravel pit for a potential housing development project there. We were also awarded the Urban and Community Forestry Grant. That was a collaborative effort from several people helping to do that. It was a great project. That is going to do a lot of tree removal, dead trees, ash trees within the village area, and redo some plantings of some newer things. So that's an exciting project that also, that grant also will purchase, which Chester Townscape will be able to use for all of the water, the boxes in town. A trailer that houses a water tank with a small pump so that it'd be much easier to water rather than our ladies lugging around milk jugs full of water. This will be much easier.
Can Evan tow that on his electric bicycle?
It depends on how powerful his little battery is, or his legs. The other thing that we just found out today that we were awarded is I am trying to defer all public safety grants to Alicia, who is our new admin in the police department. And yay, Alicia just was awarded her very first grant. It was $37,000. It's a smaller grant, but it was $37,000. And what that will purchase for us is 2 portable digital signs for major events. So if a road is closed, we can haul that sign out. It is digital. It's solar powered. We can program it to say, road closed ahead. It can be used during major flooding events. It can be used just during bridge work. So that was a big ad. That they are very expensive. So we did finally receive those 2. So good for her. Grants coming up that I am going to be applying for, downtown transportation funds. I am going to proceed with that. It's been added to the agenda tonight, so we can talk more under that. Library capital grants have finally opened. I will be meeting with, I've already had some meetings with the librarian. We'll be having another meeting with everybody, all the players, the architect, Scott Wonderly, a few others, to talk about ADA. What we plan to use it for is ADA improvements to the building. It needs to improve access to the building for internet usage. So a couple of things we're looking to do is creating some soundproof booths in the library that could be used for telehealth meetings, for any kind of confidential meeting that somebody may need to have. It would expand the usage there. It will also provide better equipment and better space for any kind of internet usage in the library, but also the ADA stuff. So the downstairs bathroom is not ADA compliant, kitchen not ADA compliant. The ramp on the front is falling apart, and you can't, the access to the ramp is not ADA compliant. So we're kind of re-looking at that. So there'll be a lot of improvements coming. That is a no-match grant, funded between a $300,000 and $1.5 million project. So that's a big grant that they're looked. So hopefully will be effective there. Homeland Security, Alicia will be applying for. We've been talking a lot about CERT groups, the community activated response teams, this community, I think it's community emergency response teams that we are looking to set up for major events. This is a funding source that could potentially help fund the equipment needed for that. The Sustainable Energy Grant, and if anybody is like, whoa, hold off, don't do this, let me know. The Sustainable Energy Grant, Lee has been working with me on. This is, would put a solar array, is that what I call it, on top of the public safety bill, on top of the town garage, and would generate enough power to power the town garage itself. It would be step 1.
So if I
And-
could
go ahead.
just chime in, excuse me
please.
for a second.
Please do.
And Heather, this is a question directed at you. So apparently House Bill H-289 is a bill that would eliminate group net metering, which would mean that we could not install that solar array on the garage and use electricity that's credited to that account anywhere else for the town. The same would happen with, if we expanded the existing solar array or bought that one. That would basically eliminate all the benefits of community solar projects. So,
And
Heather,
and Lee, what number is it?
289.
Okay. I'll get back to you on that, and I'll do some research.
House, is that
and
House bill?
That
House or
would be a
Senate?
disaster for
Yes, it would.
wants to do solar, and apparently the utility companies are for it. I'm not sure. I'm going to talk to some of my contacts at Green Mountain Power because it goes directly against their stated goals of being energy efficient and getting off fossil fuels. So I'm not sure where this is coming from, but if you could check in on it, that'd be great. Just something to keep in the back of your mind, Julie, as we pursue this.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and apply.
Yes.
But there's several steps along the way before we,
Right.
if we get funded. So I'll apply and then we'll decide from there. Okay.
And I'll do some research, and this is exactly the perfect example of why I think meetings routinely would be great. Thank you.
Yep, agreed.
Thank you.
And, I mean, I don't need to go through all these, but there are several grants that would deal with, again, setting up the CERT team, AFG grants, that Assistance to Firefighters grants that will help fund some of the training. Most of these have no match required. And then the other one that is getting ready to open, which we will talk more about as an agenda item, is the SAFER grants. This can actually fund staff in your fire and EMS. We have a few things we're talking about and working on over there to better run those three departments. And so we'll be back with more detail and approval from the board before I apply for those. But several grant opportunities, like I said, every now and then I update you that we'll be applying for. Alicia will be helping me with all the public safety ones, which will be great to have that help now. So anyways, that's it for me.
That's good news about the grant for the trees
Yeah.
in town and for the community planning for the property in town.
Yep.
That's going to really help getting things ready for housing committee, if there's any future work with that and what happens from there. One quick question I had on that, on the Green Mountain Rail, was there a conversation that Preston was talking about that they were also considering or brought up rail service, passenger rail service?
So I think there's a lot of conversations taking place, nothing concrete and nothing that is substantial at this point, but my understanding is that there is a desire to get some of the passenger rail things back and going. Unfortunately, they sold a number of their really nice passenger cars. They've sold. So there are some things that I think they're looking at. I think they want to see what these two holiday trains are going to do, and see what kind of revenue that can generate, and just start thinking outside the box a little bit. It would be nice to see the train station used. Again, it is starting to deteriorate. You can tell when you look at it. So hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a project that would be in the future for sure, but the fact that they're even thinking
Talking
about
about it,
or
absolutely.
talking about it is a positive thing,
Yep.
that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have anything on old business? We'll move on. The next item on our agenda, we have a representative here, Lauren Ingersoll from Black River Area Community Coalition. And that is a collaboration of individuals and organizations supporting substance-free youth in Chester, Ludlow, Plymouth, and Mount Holly. And she's here to talk about their work and possible work that she would like to see maybe Chester be involved with. So, Laura, go right ahead.
Thanks, Arnie. I think this is low enough. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay,
It's more for Zoom anyway.
perfect. So I'm here with the support of Barry Pinsky, who's representing my coalition team of volunteers. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Ingersoll. I'm the projects coordinator for the Black River Area Community Coalition. And BRAC, as Arnie mentioned, is a substance misuse prevention coalition. We mobilize individuals from different sectors of the community under a shared mission for positive youth development. And just as a quick overview of the kind of work that we do, we provide youth, parents, schools, and community-serving organizations with educational resources that increase awareness around substance use issues. And we look at local and regional data to identify trends in substance use, and we compare that data with our own assessments to understand what these issues really look like at the community level. And as you can see from the organizational chart that I provided in my materials, I am the only employee working for BRAC at this time. I was hired by The Collaborative, our fiscal sponsor, about a year ago to bring BRAC back to life, as it had been at an operational standstill for a while since the Ludlow High School closed in 2019. COVID hit and leadership essentially disbanded. So yeah, about like 20 years ago, BRAC started in Ludlow and was working really closely with the Ludlow High School. Now that those students travel to Green Mountain, it makes sense for us to focus our work in Chester now. So I've spent the last year working closely with key players from Green Mountain Union and building up a team of awesome local people to help carry out BRAC's work. And right now, my coalition advisory team consists of over 20 individuals, and we've been gathering once a month in person in Chester to share ideas and discuss prevention strategies. So when we look at all the data together, and this includes like the 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, the discussions at the recent Vermont Youth Opportunity Forums that were held in Rutland and Springfield, and just like qualitative feedback from the Chester community. There seems to be a general consensus on the idea of youth third spaces being a huge asset for kids in this area. So from a prevention lens, we see a place like this as an opportunity to address root cause of substance use and reduce risk factors in teens who feel isolated or who feel like they don't matter in the community, or for just teens who could benefit from having a space to socialize, be creative, start clubs, or just decompress outside of home and school, which are the first two spaces. So that's why they call it a third space for youth. So I've reached out to several other youth centers in Southern Vermont, and I have found a lot of role model organizations doing it successfully. There seems to be a lot of support for this project from local school leaders and from Chester residents who remember the underground, as you can see from the snapshot I provided of that Facebook comment thread. I put a post out to the Chester Helping Hands group, just looking for a little intel on the underground, which apparently was a third space that happened circa early 2000s, and it got like over 60 comments of a bunch of people who only had positive things to say, and apparently it had a huge impact on kids and families at that time. So right now, our coalition is exploring this idea of bringing a space like that back to Chester, and we're doing research, we're gathering information, and developing surveys to decide if a project like this could benefit our local middle and high schoolers. We're also currently putting together a focus group of students from Green Mountain just to get their ideas and bring them into the conversation. And we've even started to compile a loose list of potential building spaces, which is really jumping the gun because we're not there yet. We're definitely just in the beginning phases of this idea. There's a lot of details we haven't worked out yet, but we're definitely at a point where we just wanted to update the town on what BRAC's been working on and keep you guys in the loop and just shine some light on our mission for this year. So the grant that BRAC just received in November, it's called the Prevention Lead Grant, covers our work for the next year and a half. And for this time, I intend to focus on the assessment, capacity, and planning phases of this third space idea. And assuming we decide to move forward with this project, I plan to spend BRAC's next round of funding on the implementation phase. And this is, you can refer to the strategic prevention framework, which I also included in the materials. It breaks down the idea of prevention work into 5 steps, which is assessment, capacity, planning, implementation, and evaluation. So basically, what's the problem? What do we have to work with? What should we do? How can we put this plan into action? And is this plan succeeding? Yeah, so we're all really excited about this, and we're open to any guidance that the town might have to offer us. And we also invite any members of the town to join in on our coalition meetings. If you have my contact information too, so if anybody's interested, just shoot me an email. And you know, Heather, I wanted to just say, I think we met in person years ago. I used to work with Scott Wonderly at Terrigenous Landscape Architecture, and I think we came to your house one time just to do a scope of a project. So I don't know if you remember me.
Yeah, it's nice seeing you again.
Cool.
Thanks for your work.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad that you're
town.
here. Did you want to say anything? Are you good?
Oh, yeah.
You can if you want to.
Get you back up there.
Sure. Real quick.
I quit drinking and drugging in my early 20s. I've struggled with addiction my whole life. Back when we were kids, we could experiment a little bit. Today, it's much more scary. I think you've all seen the news where kids are experimenting and they end up with fentanyl and end up dead. It's a scary time. So that's part of the reason why I got involved in this with Lauren, and as you can see, she's quite competent, and I'm really excited about what we're trying to do. I've talked to Garrison a little bit about the Jiffy Mart building that he has, staffing that for him with his original vision, something that's difficult. He's actually open to the possibility of using that, and we have a number of buildings in town here, the church, the academy building, things like that. So at some point, we may be knocking on some doors for some help, but I'm just trying to be helpful.
You've been great. Barry has been such a great support and has helped me do a lot of networking. I'm really grateful for the team that I have.
Lauren, when are your meetings? You said once a month?
Yeah, we try to hold them once a month. They're still kind of loose, so they're not really on a set day, time, or place every month. And I'm working on trying to get it to that point, but as of right now, we're just kind of sending out, they're called doodle polls to everybody each month to see times that work the best. There's a lot of people that want to be involved in the conversation, so I've been trying to hold different times and days to get as many people that give a chance to come with their schedules. So yeah, if you wanted to be a part of that, I would be happy to just put you on the list so that you can get the poll and be on the invite.
The next one's at my place.
Oh yeah, that's true. The upcoming meeting is actually on Sunday at 3:30 at Barry's studio. So you guys are all welcome to come if you'd like.
Bring your own chairs.
Yeah, we're going to bring some extra chairs. Yeah, so.
You know, having 4 kids, I remember fondly the underground when
You
it was
do.
operational and stuff. And I just remember everything about it was positive.
Yeah.
The kids' reaction, the parents, they had a safe place to go. It was used all the time. There was always something going on,
Right.
whether it was just some kids jamming or some kids hanging out.
Right.
And it had a positive effect because a lot of my kids, when they speak of it,
Yeah.
it's a good memory for them.
That's what it seemed. I didn't hear one negative thing about it. It didn't seem like there were any incidences that were negative. I mean, it was really well run, and apparently the kids actually started it, somehow. I'm not really sure exactly how they went about it, but it was the kids' idea at the school, like from the school, to do that, and I think it was Gary and
Gary
Dominica.
Conger, yeah, and, yeah.
I still have yet to really get connected with them. I'm hoping I can find their contact information, but it seems like the relationship between Gary and the kids that were there was a huge part of what made it successful. There was a lot of trust and respect that was just, I think, meant a lot to them. And yeah, so my thought is that if we do something like this again, just keeping that in mind, we're going to need a doorman that's super cool and, and like fun, but also responsible. It's got to be a good balance. And I think I have a couple people in mind.
Just
So.
super cool.
Super cool guy, yeah.
There you go.
Right.
Arnie?
Mr. Roper, you have your hand up?
Oh, it's Heather.
Oh, well, hang in there, Heather, because I think Tim has
Okay.
his hand up also. Go ahead.
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you, Arnie. I just wanted to thank Barry and Lauren for bringing this to the town. I think it's fantastic. Both of our kids were involved in the underground as well as teens, and it was a really, really great experience. Lauren, I just want to know, if someone wants to get on your email list, how would we go about doing that?
Yeah, you can just send me an email directly with your contact information. I mean, it will be, I'll just mostly need your email address so I can put you on the contact invite list to the meetings that I schedule. It goes through like Google, or Gmail and stuff.
Lauren, give your.
Great, and what's your email address?
Yeah, so my email address is Lauren, it's LAUREN at brackvt.org, so that's BRACCVT.org. You should get that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And there is an informational website that has a lot of information on it regarding your organization and things that you have done and contact
true.
information. That's pretty helpful, too.
Thank you. Yeah, that's true. You can also check out the BRAC website, which I redid a few months ago. It's just www.bracvt.org. Yeah, thank you.
I would think that if there's a way that we could help as a town, I would think that we'd be more than willing to try to help you in any way that we can, or
Yeah.
whatever project that comes forward.
Yeah, I really feel like this is possible. I mean, when I talk to a lot of other organizations that are doing similar work in southern Vermont, it seems that their barrier is getting community buy-in, but that is really not a barrier for me and our community. Everybody seems to be in full support of that, and really the only challenge I'm having right now is getting the kids to get involved in it. That's the next step for me. So, I put out another blast on the Chester Helping Hands Facebook group again, just to say that I'm putting together this focus group of students. I'd love to just get 5 to 6 middle or high schoolers to participate in like an hour session with just me, so we could just talk about ways that we might approach this project. If it happened, would you use it? What do you like to do? All that stuff. And maybe even participate in editing or revising a survey for their peers. I'd love to just put a survey out to the whole student body. And I have like gift cards that I bought, so I'd compensate the kids for their time on that too. Yeah, so if you guys know any kids from Green Mountain that might be interested in this, that would be awesome. I'd love to get some more kids signed up for the focus group. Yeah.
Thanks. Heather, did you have a question? Or do you want to make a comment? Or
Oh, I was just going to agree with everyone that the kids that went loved it, and I loved dropping them off.
Slipping out.
A safe place, with responsible people, a little distance from your adolescents. It really was good for me.
One of the things that we're wondering about is, like if you want to be a rock and roll group, it's kind of hard to be Led Zeppelin. That was a happening. So this was our little, for lack of a better metaphor, a Led Zeppelin for the town of Chester. Things may have changed with respect to kids and interests now, with video games, the flying the drones and all these sorts of things. So what we're trying to do, what Lauren is talking about with having the kids focus group, is what their interests might be to try to create a space that's oriented towards that, to make a new type of history for them.
Yeah, we don't want to, that's the thing about the underground is, you know, it happened like over 20 years ago, so we don't want to assume that, you know, it's going to be another music hub. You know, I'm not sure if that's what the kids are doing, but we're going to find out.
Yeah.
It'd be cool, whatever it is. Yeah.
I would think that anything that would have kids socialize on a one-to-one basis instead of on their little tablets and their
Right.
phones would be definitely helpful for the community, for the kids, and for
That's the idea.
everything else.
We want to break the isolation. In the 2021 YRBS data, it was an insane amount of, and it was like pretty across the board for Vermont, like 50% of all middle schoolers and high schoolers feel like they don't matter in their community. It was a wild number. So just like keeping that in mind, and obviously it's been a really crazy last few years, so we just want to, have a space where kids can actually see each other in person and do stuff together. So that's all I have.
Thanks for your work and all that you do, and the group of people that are involved with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It takes a lot to do what you're doing. I appreciate it, and I think the board appreciates it, and the town for sure.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Yep, thank you.
Next item on our agenda is our certificate of highway miles. This is some housekeeping that we do every year, that we affirm the class 1, 2, 3, and 4, and also trails, actually, legal trails also that we have in our town. The class 1, 2, and 3 are the ones that we usually are associated with financing from the state. The class 4 doesn't have any play as far as, I think,
State aid?
monetary values and stuff. This year, there is an addendum that goes with it, because there's a section of Bailey Hill Road, approximately 1.09 miles, that is being contested, that it is not a class 4 highway, and that it was discontinued a while ago. All the material that's been brought about by this contention that it is not a class 4 road has been turned over to our legal counsel, the town, and they are going over it and stuff, but he did recommend this addendum, and I guess I'll read it. And it says that the legal status and existence of the entire 1.09 miles of Town Highway 136, AKA Bailey Hill Road, as a Class 4 town highway as depicted on the Vermont General Highway Map, Town of Chester, prepared on June 9th, 2023, has been questioned and is currently under review by the Chester Select Board. The review includes, but is not limited to, the review of documents of record involving the discontinuance of roads in Smokeshire, so-called in their legal significance in connection with the current existence of Town Highway 136 as the town highway. In certifying to the existence of Chester's Class 1, 2, 3, and 4 town highways, the undersigned hereby reserves any certification as to the legal status of Town Highway 136 as a Class 4 town highway pending further review of its legal status based on the documents of record, evidence of dedication and acceptance, and physical evidence of monumentation. The town of Chester reserves the right to amend this certification at such time as it has completed its review and has been able to determine whether Town Highway 136 exists as currently designated. Once an affirmation determination has been made as to its status, the Chester Select Board will file any necessary amended certifications that are deemed appropriate to clarify the current status of Highway 136. Usually this is pretty much just some housekeeping work, but I will allow public comment on this, if there is someone that would like to speak to this issue.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board, and Heather. Paul Bidgood. I'm the one who has brought this matter to the board. And please understand that from my perspective, the road has been discontinued. I've read the documents. It takes about 15 minutes to read the documents. I know the area. The road has been discontinued. I'd appreciate it if the board members took the 15 minutes and apprised themselves of that situation. Since it's a discontinued road, it is private property. It's private property, and Chairman did not want me to get into all the background because I've provided it. So I just wanted to provide that little bit of background. And I really now want to talk about the addendum. I saw this for the first time just a few hours ago. The town manager gave it to me, so I've kind of been trying to put my thoughts together. It's a one-page document, very simple document. It's pretty much all filled out, but it does reference under oath, and it does reference Title 19, Section 305. I have, in my documentation, I provided that information to you. That section of the law is definitive. You have the obligation, the chairman just mentioned, it's kind of a routine thing that you do. It's meant to be routine. Once it's noted that there's an error in the record, it's time to fix the record. Title 19, you can only put public highways on the certificate of highway mileage, which then would put it on the highway map. There's no authority for the board to put on private property. It currently exists as private property. It is not a town highway. It's been discontinued. All of you can read those documents in about 15 minutes, sit down, talk to Peter Farah. He was the road researcher that put it, it never was on the map. It got put erroneously on the map in 2010. It was a mistake. A mistake is corrected routinely every year across the whole state of Vermont. Towns run into this all the time. A mistake is observed, the records get fixed. It's very routine. In fact, I provided a sample of how I would fix it. So I think I've talked as much as I can, based on just learning about this today, on the certificate of highway mileage in that law that I referred to, Title 19, Section 305. It's a mandatory obligation to only put public highways on the certificate. You can't put private property on there. Now, as far as this document, please understand, this is a mockery. This is not even worth, as they say, the price of the paper that's written on. This is ridiculous. This is abhorrent to reasonable people's expectation of resolving a situation. Luckily, the board has Heather, if I could use her first name. Please, I would like the board to send this document to Heather, have her go into the legislature. Where is the legislative authority to circumvent the law? The law says you have to do a certain thing, only public highways. Who in their right mind would put private property on a public highway map? This piece of paper is, please, do not sign that document tonight. You're prepared to do it tonight. Please have Heather or someone else review this. It's garbage.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not gonna start this because it is with our town attorney. He is reviewing the documents. This was on his recommendation that we're going this route, and we're going to stay with this route as it is right now. I would entertain a motion that we sign our certificate of highway miles, years ending February 10th, 2024, with the addendum attached. Is there a motion to that effect?
Yep, so moved.
Is there a
I'll second it.
Peter's the motion, Lee's the second. Any further discussion on this? Now would be the time if there are any questions or concerns regarding the board, how this is going, or what their thoughts are.
I'd just like to comment a little bit to Mr. Bidgood's points that he made, and that is that you've been looking at this for how many years, decades? We've had a couple of weeks to do it. And while I don't know you from Adam, and I don't know whether I can trust you, I know you have a vested interest in presenting your side of the story. You have not given me that benefit of looking into this myself. You're asking me to do something that I have no idea if I should or not. So the point is that upon the recommendation of our attorney, we're going to proceed as we normally would with the opportunity to make corrections as you have stated. But I think I need to make sure that I understand completely both sides of the argument, both sides of the investigations that have been done, so that I can make my own mind up and not have my arm twisted. And that's honestly what it feels like. So while I respect your opinion, and while I respect your, and give you the opportunity to express your opinion, I don't, at this point, want to delay this. It's something that we have to do before the 10th. And we've said in this amendment that, or addendum, that we can go back and fix it. So I think that's the approach we're going to take, as Mr. Chair said. And I'm happy to read the documentation. Contrary to your assertion it takes 15 minutes, it takes a lot longer than that to do it. So I appreciate your patience with us. We will try to be as fair and understanding as we can, but we need to make up our own mind.
Thank you, Lee. Well put.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments or questions? All those in favor of approving the highway miles with the addendum, please say aye.
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 That's the original.
Go on to our next item on the agenda, which is an approval for the resolution for the downtown transportation funds. Julie, can you take us through that?
I can. So this will be going before the Planning Commission for a quick special meeting that they're going to hold next week as well. I had originally thought that maybe I would not apply for these funds, but then in speaking with Gary Holloway, he suggested that I do. This project would be, in the master plan, we talked about several improvements to the Village Green. Some of those being the crossings, new curbing around the green itself, some better pedestrian access in front of the shops. There were several things identified in that master plan. I would also like to use these funds. There has to be a transportation component, and that can be pedestrian transportation. So I would also like to use these funds to do the path, work on the path from Cobley up to the green, now that that is going to be paved this summer. Work on better access from the road to the Brookside Trail. There needs to be some identified access. People are just kind of wandering wherever right now. We need to define that. The crossings, the electrification of the green can be included in this, as we've talked about. I would have them look at electrification of both sides of the green, in front of the information booth, that side, as well as the green itself, which will be quite an undertaking to figure out what's under the ground there. But right now, in the winter, we just have extension cords running everywhere for the Christmas lights, and it really is a pretty big no-no. So be kind of identifying some of that. And then while they have things torn up and adding, perhaps adding some conduit to deal with some pedestrian lighting in that area. All this being said, step one, phase one is design. So we have the vignettes from the master plan, but before I propose all of these changes, it would be nice to have a design phase. And that is where I kind of felt like we weren't really quite there and ready for this yet, like we needed to do a design piece first. So I talked to Gary, who runs the program, and he's like, no, please apply, please apply. We can do a phase one design, and then I can pull out, Jason Rasmussen is working with me, and so is Scott Wonderly, on pulling together some of the key components that we know we want. We know we need to improve crossings. We know we need to do access to Cobley. We know we need to do access to Brookside. Those key pieces that we know for certain, and start attaching some construction costs to that the best we know. Gary's advice to me was, once the design piece is done, then you know actual construction costs. There is some flexibility within the award amount, but the other piece is that you can always have two DTF funds open at the same time. So the wayfinding grant will be closed out this year. If we are awarded the transportation funds this year, we would start the design piece probably over the winter, 24 into 25, is when that, by the time you get your grant agreement and all that takes place. That's about when that process would begin, in which case it would open up in February again for downtown transportation funds. For the next round, I could apply for additional funds. Design work would be completed at that point. You would know firm costs. We could apply for more funds. So it would be a great way to get a lot of the improvements that we want done on the green. Again, my big part of this is we need to have some real community involvement discussion around the design, because it is the green, and everybody needs to have input into that. But our baseline for the application would be the vignettes, but that have already been done. But they would just facilitate and start conversation around the actual final design. So if you were in agreement to move forward with this, understanding that there will definitely be a more in-depth community process, then this application is due the 19th of February. I work well under pressure, which is good. And it would need your signature. The Planning Commission will sign next week when they have their meeting.
$200,000?
So the grants are up to $200,000, match is 20%, so potentially a $40,000 match. My anticipation would be that part of that match would be the funds that you've already allocated from the Economic Development Fund for the electrification. That would be part of the match, and the other half of that match would come from the grant fund. So it wouldn't hit the tax base.
I think it's a worthy cause, and it's amazing that a lot of times when we have all these different studies and center designations and village designations and stuff, it's all the groundwork for things like this that come up, because not all towns have gone through all these steps and are available to bid on a project like this or funds like this. But because we have this in place, it's helps with something like this, but it's also helped in the past to the tune of, I don't know, $1 million,
Yeah.
if that
A lot of
much, if
money.
not more, because of this work that's been done over the years and stuff, which is pretty beneficial to the town to leverage $40,000 at this point to possibly get a grant of $200,000. Really, I think is money that would be well spent. What's the consensus of the board?
I think it's a good idea.
Right.
We're just creating a lot more work for Julie, so I'm also going to say, I just so happen to have some availability, so I'm happy to help in any way I can with writing or whatever.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just have to say, go Julie, go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
So you guys sign down. I need to stop looking for grants, I know.
It sounded like someone convinced you to do this one, because you
I know.
weren't thinking about
Well,
it.
the thing about I didn't think we were ready. I don't apply for grants unless I know we're ready. And so
Because of the flexibility, it seems like.
Pretty confident she has her
Right,
name-
so
her name's
downtown
rolled down there.
transportation funds are not open to any municipality in the state. The only municipalities that can apply for downtown transportation funds are either designated downtowns, so your bigger areas, or designated village centers who have completed a master plan through the Better Connections Grant. And so there's really only like, I think there's like 15 towns now that can apply. So it may be that he just wants to get us money, and I'll take it.
Right, yeah. We have to update the master plan here.
We do. So Arnie and I were talking about that today. I think when Better Connections opens up next year,
Yep.
that's what funded the master plan. At that point, it will have been, 6 years. So it would be the time to do an update. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Great, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Future agenda items, new business.
Jim Carroll will be at your next meeting for an executive session on Julian Quarry.
And we did have a conversation, and I mentioned that after the elections and our new board is established, to have a discussion on our, excuse me, Class 4 roads in general, all the ones that are on our maps, to go over what's there, to see what we have, and to make sure that we could try to avoid a situation like this again. So we could verify what we have or look into what we have and just have a general discussion on our Class 4 roads. So I was thinking that would be.
You said the second meeting in March.
Second meeting in March. That's for an agenda item to start the conversation.
So just a heads up, I wasn't paying attention and I'm going on vacation the end of January, or February into the beginning of March, so I will not be here for town meeting day.
You won't be?
I will not.
Okay.
I'll be in sunny Arizona, hopefully.
We're going to miss you.
I'm sure you won't.
Come on. Don't sell yourself short.
Oh, and Arnie?
What's that, Heather?
Well, just FYI, I'm going to be late to town meeting because I have to go to one in Athens and then I'm going to be there. And I thought I'd go to Athens first and then come to Chester and be there.
Okay.
That's great. Thanks, Heather.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else for anything for new business or future agenda items? Bill?
Yeah, I have a question. Bill Lindsay. The grant for the downtown transportation grant seems like a really worthy thing as it's been laid out. And I read here that there is, part of the match will come from economic development. Would it be possible to have an update on where we stand with our economic development funds? There was some discussion about the use of funds from economic development a while back. I raised my hand because I got us in trouble. I recommended that we do some paving in front of the Fullerton. My constituents at that particular time let me know that they didn't think that was an appropriate use of the funds. I stand by my push to get it done. I think it was good for the town. I kind of believe that when you come into town and you see what's going on in Chester, it's definitely a benefit. But I also don't want to lose sight of the economic development funds that were meant for a purpose, and there should be some growth in those funds, and the interest in those funds come back to help the economic development fund and push the fund further for people down the road long after we're gone. So I would like to hear what we have for funds. Are there any loans outside? Has anybody applied? And what is the growth of that fund been for the last 5 years? Because that's the money, when that big pie in the sky comes here, that Chester can help maybe a new employer come to town. So I appreciate all these things that are going to take place. I think they're all beneficial to the town, but I don't want to lose sight of those funds. It's very difficult to get funds when you need them to do something. And these grants are certainly helping the town of Chester's look, and also for a place that people want to come to. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
I think what we could do, Bill, is a future agenda item would be a discussion on those funds and just to review the policy, because I think that policy was amended not too many years back to better reflect a little more flexibility in that policy, to use it for things like we have in the past, not direct loans just for businesses, but for economic development. But yeah, it'd be worth checking it out again and see where that fund sits. Right? It's 250 or something?
No, it's three, it's in threes.
It's
in the
up in
high
the
threes.
threes.
It's up in the high, it's high threes.
It's been
Yeah.
growing.
Well, I know,
It was over 4, and then it dropped.
excuse me, I know because of COVID, there was a group of people meeting on semi-regular basis, and I don't see that that's happened anymore, so I don't know if somebody is.
Oh, the Economic Development Committee, yeah, I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
Kind of disbanded.
And,
yeah.
you know, maybe nothing happens immediately, because it never does with government, but at least it was an opening, and that was people could be sent there, so if there was a possibility to open a door, we had some funds to be helpful.
Can we raise the rec that, or was that private committee?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The development committee, was that town, or was that? 'cause
No, that
you-
was, they were their own corporation.
They were their
Yeah,
own-
it
they-
wasn't a town economic
It
development.
was a
Committee.
corporation?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, it was,
Yes.
it was state money that was given to the town, wasn't it? A
No,
grant
he's
or
talking about the Economic Development Committee.
something? Oh,
Right.
the committee
The
itself.
That
committee
had Bill
itself,
Dakin
right.
and that whole group, yeah.
But the seed money was from the state.
The seed money was from the state, that was through a Putney Pasta project done years ago.
So we have a corporation that has money that
They do not manage those funds.
they do not
No,
manage.
they are not connected to those funds.
All right.
No.
They're more of an advisory.
They were,
board.
well, they were an advisory board, they were a group made up of business owners. At one point, I don't even know when they started, but they haven't been meeting
Well, have you
since
got-
COVID. I
Yeah,
think
have
even
you-
before that, actually.
Well, have you got an email address for them, or what it is, or who they are?
Bill Dakin.
Bill
People would
Dakin.
just
Go
email Bill
chase
Dakin.
Bill. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it was a
Yep.
group, like I said, it was a group of business owners who would talk about economic development opportunities. Sometimes the town was invited, not always. But they're not connected to our development funds.
All right.
Anything else for future agenda items? New business?
We can talk about the solar field at some point.
Oh.
We can. I did get an email today from Mike Curtis that he is reviewing everything and he wants to set up a meeting. I just haven't responded to him yet, that he thinks he's pretty close to
Have
developing.
we heard anything from Greenbacker?
Yeah.
No, no. In all honesty, they're waiting for us to come
Oh,
back
okay,
to them
okay.
with negotiation. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
need this ROI to know if
Right,
that's
right.
the step we want to take.
Right.
Did you call the Public Service Board about the fence?
No.
Sorry. They respond well to emails, too.
Peter doesn't want his sheep getting out.
Yeah. No. I buy it for a discount because the fence is down.
Anything else? All right, we'll move on to our next item, which is an executive session for the town manager review. I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session to discuss town manager review.
So moved?
Second.
Ariana's the motion and Lee's the second. Any discussion? All those in favor of moving into executive session for the town manager review, please say aye.
Aye.
Like,
Black